You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin.
I came through the door smelling like diesel, sweat, and metal shavings. 18 straight hours. 3 jobs back to back. My legs were jelly, my shirt stuck to my back, and my stomach felt like it was trying to eat itself. TV was blaring. Laughter. Game show buzzers. Nadine was laid out on the couch with her sisters, barefoot, drinking wine like it was a damn vacation. Nobody looked up. Not even a hey. I dropped my work boots by the door, keys in the bowl. Kitchen lights were off. I opened the fridge, packed. Chicken thighs, greens, milk, eggs, cheese, the expensive yogurt she liked. Everything but a plate for me. Not even leftovers. I stood there staring like maybe something would magically appear. My stomach growled so loud it echoed. I grabbed a pack of dollar ramen from the back of the pantry and tossed it in a pot. Pissed off but too tired to say a word. She didn't even glance over. Just goes, "You're grown. Make your own food. This ain't a diner." That sentence? It split something in me. Quick note. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. The sisters chuckled. Like I was the joke. I turned my back to them and stirred my noodles. Burned my finger when the handle slipped. Didn't even flinch. I ate standing at the counter with the busted drawer that's been needing a screw for 6 months. No one offered a plate. No one asked how my day was. Not even the kids came out their rooms. "You're grown. Make your own food." She said it like it was nothing. Like I was some roommate. Not her husband who's breaking his damn body to keep this house running. Not even a damn nod. The pot clanged in the sink when I finished. Nobody flinched. I walked past them, smelling wine and cheese puffs and that expensive candle she gets from that boutique downtown. The one she buys while telling me we can't afford new work boots. I laid on our bed, work pants still on, ramen still hot in my gut, and those words just looped over and over in my head. This ain't a diner. Nah, it wasn't. It was a damn trap, and I finally saw it. I didn't sleep much. My body passed out around 3, but my mind stayed up pacing. When I finally opened my eyes, the sun was already cutting through the blinds, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Clear. Not happy. Not rested. Just clear. I got up slow. Didn't grab my work bag. Didn't throw on the uniform. Just jeans, a clean hoodie, and my keys. Didn't say a word to Nadine, who was still snoring in bed, mouth open, TV still going from whatever trash she passed out watching. I headed to Hanover Market on the other side of town. The one with the real cuts of meat and fancy oils I usually walked right past. I walked in and didn't grab a cart. Just a hand basket. Enough for one. I got 1 ribeye thick, marbled. Sea salt. Real butter. A handful of fresh asparagus. A tiny bottle of steak rub that cost damn near $8. I didn't flinch. Not today. On the way out, I added a slice of cheesecake from the cold case. Just one. By the time I got home, the house was half awake. Cartoons were playing low in the living room. Nadine and her sisters were there again. She must have invited them to stay the night. No one looked up. I turned on the stove, pulled out my cast iron, and got to work. Butter melted. Garlic popped. The steak hit the pan with a sizzle that cut through the silence like a slap. The smell filled the whole damn house in minutes. Then I heard it. "You made all that just for you?" That was Monique, the oldest sister. She came around the corner, eyes wide like I'd slapped her with a $100 bill. I didn't turn, just kept basting the steak. "Was told to cook for myself," I said. "Cool. Calm." I flipped the meat. The silence that followed was heavy. Thick. Nadine poked her head in next, holding a coffee mug like a shield. She didn't say a word, just stood there, blinking. I plated it, steak, asparagus, 1 perfect scoop of mashed potatoes I made from scratch. I sat at the table. Not the couch. Not the counter. The table. Alone. They watched me for a second longer, then slowly backed off like I was radioactive. Nobody laughed. Nobody called me petty. They just disappeared. And let me tell you, that silence fed me better than the damn steak. Quick note. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. Every bite tasted earned. Not bought. Not begged for. I chewed slow, let the butter drip down the side of the meat, wiped it with the asparagus. I didn't rush. For once, I wasn't swallowing food just to keep moving. No one asked me to share. No one dared. Not even the kids. That plate hit the sink like a damn declaration. I washed it, dried it, put it back in the cabinet. One plate, one fork, one decision. I felt something settle in me that had been missing for years. Power. Quiet, steady, nothing flashy. But real. And they felt it too. You could tell. They just didn't know what to do with it yet. The next morning was my first day off in weeks. Normally, I'd be up early fixing something, running errands, hauling trash nobody thought to take out. But not that day. I got up slow, stretched, and let the quiet fill the room. No one had touched the dishes from the night before. Not my problem. I brewed real coffee, not the cheap instant stuff Nadine kept buying. Cooked 2 eggs. Sunny side. Crispy edges just how I like. Fried up the last 2 breakfast sausages from the freezer and toasted some rye bread I'd picked up with the steak. I plated it all like I was paying myself back. I sat at the table again. Fork in hand, coffee in the other. No rush, no guilt. Just peace. Nadine came in with a bonnet halfway off and a wrinkled tank top. She looked at the food, then at me. Where's mine? I didn't blink. You're grown. Make your own food. This ain't a diner. Her mouth opened, then shut. She stood there for a second, arms crossed like she was trying to come up with something to say, but nothing came out. She walked off. No slammed doors. No yelling. Just left. Quick note. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from today. That was the first time I saw her actually speechless, and it felt better than it should have. Later that week, I hit up Vince. I hadn't seen him in over a year, not really. He used to be my guy, barbecues, Sunday football, all that, but I'd been too buried in work and honey-do lists to breathe. He picked me up Friday night, and I didn't ask for permission. Just grabbed my jacket and said, "Be back late." Nadine was folding towels on the couch. She looked up like she didn't understand the words coming out my mouth. "Where you going?" "Out." "With who?" "Vince." She blinked. "You ain't even ask." I didn't know I had to. I walked out before she could reply. We hit this little bar downtown with big screens and cold beer. I watched the game without checking my phone once. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a damn utility bill, just a man. When I got home, the dishes were still piled up. The trash was still full. Her problem, not mine. 2 days later, her youngest, Jameer, caught me walking in after job number 2, backpack slung over one shoulder. "Hey Marcus, can you help me with my math?" I was dead on my feet. I dropped my keys in the bowl and looked him dead in the eye. "Ask your mom. I just got home." He nodded and shuffled off. No tears, no tantrum, just quiet footsteps. The message landed. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't cold. I was just done being a damn doormat. Nadine started hovering more after that, asking questions like she was trying to sniff out a threat. "You good? Everything okay at work? You been actin' different." I just shrug. Just tired. But it wasn't tired. It was done. The shift wasn't loud, but it was solid. The house ran the same, but the current underneath was new. I wasn't holding the weight for everyone anymore. I set it down, and nobody knew how to react. They weren't used to me saying no, but I was getting real comfortable with it. After a week of "you good?" and me just nodding, I hit my limit. Not from anything loud. No screaming. No breakdown. Just a Tuesday afternoon with my boots talking back to me. Heel flapping, soles worn thin, duct tape barely holding. I sat on the edge of our bed, holding them like they were roadkill. I remembered asking Nadine about it 2 months ago. "I need new boots," I'd said. "These ones are done." She didn't even look up from her phone. "Figure it out." And I did. Tape, glue, hope. I've been figuring it out for damn near a year. This time, I grabbed my phone and opened the banking app. First time in months. I used to check it daily, but somewhere along the line I'd stopped. Too tired, too trusting. The screen loaded. Balance wasn't low, but the activity? My heart kicked up. I scrolled. 2 charges at Sephora. $76 and $129. Nail salon bi-weekly, like clockwork. 3 meal deliveries in 1 week, all when I was working back-to-back shifts. A boutique charge I didn't recognize. $48 at some gift shop in Asheville. We hadn't been to Asheville. Then came the subscriptions. Not 1 or 2. I counted 9. Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, Disney, plus some app for astrology readings. There was even a meditation app for $12 a month. Real funny, considering the whole house ran on chaos. I leaned against the wall, scrolling slow. $38 here. $112 there. Every damn week. No one asked me. Not once. My stomach twisted. This wasn't partnership. This was a direct deposit feeding someone else's comfort. I was working 3 jobs to keep the lights on, and she was ordering scented candles and lip kits. All I'd wanted was a pair of damn boots. I locked my phone and walked out the house. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. Quick note. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. I drove to Mabel's Diner off 2nd and Jackson. Place had been there forever. Still had the same sticky booths and faded photos from the 90s. I sat in the back corner near the jukebox, peeled off my jacket, and ordered meatloaf with mashed potatoes and green beans. When the plate hit the table, it smelled like something that remembered you. Something made with hands, not buttons and apps. I ate slow, quiet. No buzzing phone. No chores calling my name. Just food, hot and real. Miss Carla, the waitress with the short hair and the 1,000-yard stare, came by with a plate I didn't order. "Apple pie," she said. "On the house. You look like you need it." I looked up, blinked. "For real?" She smiled. "Yeah, baby. For real." I stared at that pie a second too long. That stupid little triangle slice hit harder than anything I'd eaten in months. She saw me. I'd been married to a woman for 6 years who hadn't noticed a damn thing but the money I made. I ate that pie like it was holy. Warm, flaky crust, cinnamon still sharp, ice cream already melting on the edge. I didn't cry. I didn't even smile. But something inside me shifted. Quiet, permanent. When I got back to the house, Nadine was on the couch with a glass of wine and the new throw blanket I now knew cost $84. She glanced at me, then back at the TV. "Where you been?" "Out." "Okay." That was it. That was all she said. And I knew then I wasn't her husband. I was her paycheck, her driver, her handyman, her security guard. I wasn't seen, but I was damn sure done being invisible. The next morning I didn't go to work. I told my supervisor I had a personal matter and drove straight to a little brick building off Maple and 8th. The sign said Raymond Briggs, Family Law. Small, plain office. The kind of place people walk into real quiet and leave either lighter or destroyed. Receptionist looked up when I walked in. "Do you have an appointment?" "Walk in. I can wait." She gave a slow nod, slid me a clipboard. I filled it out, hands steady, heart doing a low rumble in my chest. 20 minutes later, a tall man in a wrinkled shirt and loafers stuck his head out the door. "Marcus." I stood. "Yeah." We sat in a windowless office with a dusty fan and a dying plant. He leaned back in his chair, rubbed the bridge of his nose, and asked, "What's going on?" I took a breath. "I'm married. 6 years. No paperwork filed. No cheating. No cops called. Just, I feel like I don't exist." He nodded like he'd heard that 100 times. "Kids involved. 2. But not mine. I help raise them, but I'm not on any birth certificates." "Okay," he said, grabbing a pen. "Do you rent or own?" "Rent. My name's on the lease." "Good news, then. You've got options." He broke it down. If I wanted to leave, I could. Lease was month to month. No custody battle. No court fights over furniture or savings. The joint account would be a discussion, but nothing legal tied me to her finances outside of shared rent and utilities. He looked me in the eye. "Honestly, you're in one of the cleanest positions I've seen. If you want to walk, you can." I stared at the paper on his desk. Blank divorce intake form. I didn't touch it. "I'm not ready yet," I said. "You don't have to be." Just know the door's open. I shook his hand and walked out lighter than I'd felt in years. Quick note. Before we move on, tell us where in the world you're listening from today. Nadine didn't notice a damn thing when I got home. She was on FaceTime with her sister, laughing, scrolling, drinking a soda. Just waved at me like I was the mailman. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed while she lotioned her legs and watched reruns. I kept my voice calm. We need to talk. She sighed like I was interrupting something important. About what? I'm not happy here. She blinked. What? I don't feel seen, respected. Nothing. She scoffed. You never said there was a problem. My jaw clenched. I shouldn't have to. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. I cook. I clean. I take care of your kids. And you treat me like I'm a damn Uber driver with a bank account. Oh, so now you're the victim? No, I said, standing up. Now I'm just done pretending. She didn't chase me down the hall. Didn't cry. Didn't ask me to sit back down. She thought it was just a mood. Another cold front I'd warm up from. She didn't know I'd already been to a lawyer. And she sure as hell didn't know I just realized I wasn't trapped. Next morning, I walked into the kitchen and Nadine was already on edge. She didn't say good morning, just slammed the fridge shut harder than necessary. You gon' keep walking around like the world did you wrong? She snapped. You've been acting real funny lately. I grabbed a coffee mug. Funny how? She rolled her eyes. You barely talk to me. You barely talk to the kids. You cook just for yourself like this is some solo show. What, you going through a phase or something? I set the mug down. Hard. Not breaking it, but just enough to make her flinch. No, I said. I'm going through clarity. Oh, please, she scoffed. Here we go again. I turned and looked her dead in the face. Nah, let's go there. Since you want to act like I'm crazy, let's talk about how I've been working myself into the ground and can't get a hot plate of food without a speech. She crossed her arms. You eat, don't you? Yeah, when I make it. After 18-hour shifts. After fixing the garbage disposal, cutting the grass, running your errands. And still, no thank you. No, how was your day? Not even eye contact unless I'm paying for something. Oh my God, Marcus, she said, throwing her hands up. You always gotta make it deep. You're a good provider. You're decent with the boys. Ain't that enough? I stared at her, and my chest went cold. You think that's all I am? She didn't answer, so I leaned forward, calm, controlled. If I lost my jobs tomorrow, would you still want me here? She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Silence. Not even a fake ass, of course. Just her standing there, blinking like she didn't expect the question. That silence? It was louder than any screaming match we ever had. Yeah, I said quietly. That's what I thought. I picked up my phone and texted Vince. Need a truck this weekend. Moving out. Quick note. Before we continue, drop a comment with your city or country. Where are you listening from? I filed the paperwork that Thursday. Raymond had it ready. I just had to sign. My hand didn't shake once. Vince pulled up Saturday morning with his old Dodge and 2 coffees. Didn't ask questions, just nodded. We boxed my stuff while Nadine sat on the couch, arms crossed, acting like this was a prank. The kids stayed in their rooms. The air in that house was so thick it felt like walking through wet cement. Every drawer I opened had something of mine buried under her clutter. Receipts, empty wrappers, things she never even asked about. I packed what was mine and only what was mine. Clothes, tools, my dad's watch, nothing else. When we were done, Vince grabbed the last box and said, "That it?" I looked around. That living room where I'd eaten cold meals. That bedroom where I'd laid next to a woman who hadn't touched me in months. That kitchen where my coffee always got poured last. Yeah, I said. That's it. I walked to the counter. My house key silver, scratched, mine since day one, sat warm in my palm. I dropped it flat on the granite. That sound? Clean, sharp, final. She didn't say stop, didn't say stay, just sat there, lips pressed tight, eyes glossy, but dry. I walked out, sun on my back, heart pounding like I just stepped out of a cage. I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I was free. The apartment was smaller than I pictured. Second floor, rusty railing, one window facing the back alley, but it was quiet. No yelling, no TV blasting, just the hum of a box fan in the next unit and the occasional bark from a dog downstairs. I walked through it slow that first night. Bare floors, chipped tile in the kitchen, some old paint bubbling near the ceiling. But it was mine. I didn't try to turn it into anything fancy. Just real, clean, simple. Bought a decent couch, a firm mattress, and a little two-burner stove setup that actually worked better than the one we had at the house. Picked out a coffee maker that didn't leak or sputter. 2 pans. A knife that could actually slice through more than frustration. And a snake plant. Cheap, sturdy, damn near unkillable. I set it by the window and promised it out loud. I'll take care of you. A week in, I started sleeping like I hadn't in years. No twisting. No dreams of being cornered. Just lights out and solid rest. I called Nadine and laid out a schedule for the kids. Alternate weekends, 1 school night a week. She agreed without much fuss. I think she thought I'd get tired of the silence. But the silence was the best part. Jameer and Zoe came by that first weekend. Brought their backpacks, some notebooks, a science project with construction paper and glitter. We worked at the table while chicken baked in the oven and greens simmered on the stove. No yelling, no distractions. Just real time, real food, real conversation. Yo, it smells good in here, Jameer said, looking surprised. I smiled. That's 'cause I season stuff. They laughed and it didn't feel forced. Quick note. Before we move on, drop your city or country in the comments. Where are you watching from? Cooking became my thing. I wasn't just feeding myself. I was reclaiming my time. I tried new recipes, learned how to actually fry fish without setting off the smoke alarm, made sauces from scratch. And every time I sent the kids home full and happy, I felt like I'd won something. That's when the food pics started. Nadine started texting me photos. A roast she made. A peach cobbler she threw together. Some kind of fancy salad with avocado and shrimp. No caption. Just pictures. The first one I ignored. The second I sent a thumbs up. By the third I just stopped replying. She was fishing. I wasn't biting. She didn't miss me. She missed access. Meanwhile I was adjusting. Cut back to 2 jobs. Dropped the overnight shift. Didn't need the extra cash now that it wasn't vanishing into her apps and spa treatments. I had more energy. More time. I started listening to jazz in the mornings. Taking slow walks after dinner. Folding my own clothes without resentment. Nobody piled dishes in my sink. Nobody left wet towels on the floor. If something was messy, I knew I did it. And if something was clean, I knew I earned that too. This place wasn't perfect. But every inch of it was mine. And for the first time in forever, I felt like a man again. Not a machine. Not a check. Not a body-filling space. Just me. It started with Sunday dinner. A text from Nadine popped up around noon. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, and cornbread if you're hungry. Kids'll be here too. No attitude. No guilt trip. Just an invite. I stared at it for a second, then set my phone down and stirred my own pot of chili. I'd already started cooking. Already had cornbread in the oven and root beer chilling in the fridge. I didn't reply. Week after that, she sent a picture of the boys watching a movie, all wrapped up on the couch. They miss you. Yeah, I missed them too. That's why they were due to be at my place Tuesday. She knew that. Then came the long messages. The kind that started with, I've been thinking a lot lately, and ended with, I know I wasn't perfect, but I want to fix this. I didn't block her. I didn't cuss her out. But I didn't play along either, because I could smell it, regret. Not change. Not growth. Just that sickly sweet flavor of somebody realizing their safety net is gone. I can change, she said one day when I dropped the kids off. I looked her straight in the face. You want me back because I left, not because you see me now. Her mouth moved like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. She didn't deny it. Quick note. While you're listening, Tell us which country you're watching from today. The next Saturday, Vince came by to help me fix my kitchen table. One of the legs had been loose since I got it secondhand, and he was good with tools. He came in, looked around, and let out a whistle. Damn, man, this place feels like you. It is, I said, handing him the wrench. We worked in silence for a bit, tightening bolts, leveling the feet. You're finally you again, he said after a while, wiping sweat off his neck with a rag. I didn't answer right away, just stared at the table solid now. No more wobble. It hit me. I'd never been the problem. I'd just been buried under somebody else's comfort. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I was just awake. My weekends weren't loud anymore. They were full, real full. Cooking with the kids, reading after dinner, taking slow showers, folding clothes while jazz played low in the background. Sometimes I sat on the floor just because I could. Drank my coffee while the sun came through the blinds. No mess to clean but my own. No weight on my chest when I walked in the door. And when I got a text from Nadine, thinking of you, I didn't even feel tempted to reply, because the version of me she wanted back didn't exist anymore. It was a Thursday night drop-off. I had Zoe's science kit and Jameer's cleats in the trunk. Pulled up like usual, engine still running, bags packed and ready. Nadine came out in sweatpants and an old hoodie, arms folded tight across her chest. Not angry, just quiet. The kids ran inside. No drama, no questions, just a normal exchange. I closed the trunk, turned to leave. She stood there for a second longer than usual, eyes on the gravel, not me. Then she asked it, "Am I a bad person?" I didn't answer right away. The wind kicked up a little, smelled like rain and car exhaust. "No," I said finally. "You're not." She looked up, surprised. "But the setup worked for you," I added. "It didn't for me." Her mouth moved like she wanted to defend herself, but she didn't, just nodded slow. "I thought I was doing enough," she mumbled. "You cooked sometimes," I said. "You made sure the boys had school clothes. The bills got paid." So what was missing? Inclusion, I said. Respect, listening, care that ain't tied to what I could provide. She rubbed her arms. "You were always quiet about stuff. How was I supposed to know?" I looked her in the eye. "I didn't stay quiet. You just didn't hear me." She didn't cry. I think she'd already done that somewhere else. Maybe in her car. Maybe with her sister. But she didn't argue this time. Quick note. Before we keep going, drop a comment with the country or city you're listening from. A few days later, we sat in the county building side by side. Signed the papers in 10 minutes flat. No court. No yelling. Just ink and acknowledgement. When we stepped outside, she said, "Feels weird." I nodded. "Yeah, it does." But it didn't feel wrong. She started figuring things out slowly. Took on more hours at work. Learned how to balance the checkbook without texting me questions. I heard from the kids she started cooking more at home, not just for show, but to sit with them, talk with them. And me? I didn't hate her. Not anymore. The anger had burned off. All that was left was understanding. She wasn't evil. She just got comfortable. And I let her. That was the part that hurt the most. But it also made the most sense. We'd both stopped seeing each other. Stopped trying. It wasn't just her fault. I'd gone quiet. She'd gone blind. And the whole thing collapsed under both of us. But some things don't need rebuilding. They just need releasing. We weren't partners. Not really. Not anymore. And it took walking away to finally say that out loud. That next Sunday, I woke up early. Put the jazz on low, Miles Davis, slow and smoky. Tossed a ribeye on the counter to thaw, already thinking through the sides. Red potatoes. Garlic. Maybe green beans if I felt like it. My little place smelled like peace. Coffee brewed strong in the kitchen. The good kind. I had real cream in the fridge, none of that powdered junk. I wasn't rushing. No errands. No noise. Just me, moving slow, steady, deliberate. Around 3, there was a knock on the door. Mrs. Adeyemi from downstairs stood there holding a steaming container wrapped in foil. "Goat stew," she said, smiling wide. Trade for some of that roast I smelled last week. Deal, I said, grinning. You want a plate now or later? She waved me off. Later. You enjoy. I like your music today. We'd started this quiet little routine. Sunday trade-offs. Her food for mine. No small talk, no drama. Just good meals between neighbors who understood the value of silence. Later on, Vince stopped by. We tightened a loose hinge on the closet door, then caught the second half of the game on the couch. No shouting, just passing the remote back and forth, laughing at bad plays, tossing peanuts in a bowl. You know, he said, leaning back, you're finally you again. I didn't argue, just nodded. Quick note, before we finish, tell us what city or country you're watching from. Always good to know who's out there. The kids still came by. They did their homework at the table while I cooked. Zoe helped chop onions. Jameer handled the dishes. No phones out. No yelling. Just us being a team. That night, while we were packing leftovers into Tupperware, Zoe looked up at me. Are you happy now? I looked her in the eye. Yeah, I said. I am. Later, after they left, I poured a second cup of coffee and sat by the window. Same old view. Cracked alley, blinking street lamp, someone's laundry flapping on the line. Didn't matter. That quiet, that hum of the city outside, that cup in my hand, hot and bitter just how I like it, felt full. Full in all the ways that matter.